Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah, it's great to be back.
So today we're going to be looking at this technique that can help kids manage all those big emotions that are always having, the meltdowns, the frustrations, and help them to kind of react in a calmer way.
Right, exactly.
And it's called the circle of control. So it's a visual tool basically,
Yeah.
and it's all about getting kids to understand what they have control over and what they don't, and how to kind of divide those things up.
Yeah, it's a really neat idea. I was reading about it and it's a pretty simple visual aid, but it packs a lot of power.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that it's visual is so helpful for kids, right?
Absolutely. I mean, kids are so visual at that age.
Yeah.
Abstract concepts like, control or responsibility are hard for them to grasp.
Right.
But when you can show them a picture,
Yeah.
a simple image like a circle divided in two,
Yeah.
it really clicks for them. It makes it tangible.
Totally. So tell me more about this circle. Like, what actually goes into each section? Imagine like a pizza cut in half.
Right, exactly. Like a pizza or a pie chart.
Yeah.
One half is for all the things that kids can control.
Okay.
So that would be things like their actions, like
Okay.
how they choose to behave or what they choose to do,
Okay.
their effort, how much they try at something,
No.
the words they use, how they talk to others,
Okay.
and even their attitude, whether they approach things with a positive or negative outlook.
Okay. Got it.
So all of these are internal factors that they have power over.
Got it.
Now, the other half of the circle is for things they can't control.
Okay.
And this is where things get interesting because it includes a lot of stuff that kids often get upset about, like the weather. They can't control if it's raining or sunny,
Right.
other people's actions.
Yeah.
If a friend is being mean or if a sibling takes their toy, they can't directly control that.
And that is like the biggest struggle ever for little kids.
It is. It's a huge source of frustration for them.
Yes.
Because at that age, they're really starting to figure out their place in the world.
Yeah.
They want to exert their independence.
Right.
But they're constantly running into situations that make them feel powerless.
Absolutely. And I feel
Yeah.
like that feeling of powerlessness is what leads to a lot of those tantrums or those outbursts.
Absolutely. It's a natural response to feeling out of control.
Yeah.
But that's where the circle of control comes in.
Okay.
It helps kids understand that while they can't control everything,
Yeah.
they do have control over how they react to things.
Right.
And that's a huge step in their emotional development.
It really is. So how does this actually work in practice? Like, can you give me an example of how a parent or a caregiver could use this with a child?
Sure. So let's say a child is upset because their friend won't share a toy.
Okay. Classic.
Right, exactly. Classic scenario.
Yeah.
Using the circle of control, you could remind the child, hey, you can't control whether your friend shares or not,
Right.
but you can control how you react to it. You could ask them, what are some things you could do instead of getting angry?
Yeah.
Maybe they could ask to play with a different toy.
Right.
Or find a different friend to play with.
Yeah.
Or even just take a few deep breaths to calm down.
Yeah.
The key is to shift their focus from the things they can't control to the things they can.
So it's like you're giving them a problem-solving framework instead of getting stuck in that, I can't do anything.
Exactly. It's about empowering them to find solutions within their own circle of control.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked about the practical side of this, but what about the neurological impact? I mean, is there actually something happening in the brain when we focus on what we can control?
That's a great question, and the research actually suggests that there is.
Really?
Yeah, so when we focus on things we can control, it can actually reduce activity in the amygdala,
Okay.
which is the part of the brain associated with fear and anxiety.
Am I?
Conversely, it can activate the prefrontal cortex,
Okay.
which is responsible for things like problem-solving, decision-making, and emotional regulation.
Wow, so we're literally helping kids rewire their brains to better manage stress.
Exactly. It's pretty amazing.
That is amazing. Okay, so I do have one concern. I'm sure some parents out there are thinking the same thing. Doesn't this emphasis on control make kids more individualistic, like less focused on others?
That's a valid concern, but it's important to remember that the circle of control isn't about ignoring the needs of others.
Okay,
It's about teaching kids to manage their own responses effectively.
got it.
It's about understanding that they are responsible for their actions and reactions,
Yeah.
even when external factors are beyond their control. And that can actually make them more empathetic because they're less likely to lash out or blame others when things don't go their way.
That makes sense. Okay, so I have a personal anecdote I want to share.
Yeah.
I remember one time I was with my nephew, and he was having a total meltdown because his friend wouldn't share a toy.
Okay.
And I remember the circle of control idea. And so I said to him, you know, You can't control what your friend does, but you can control how you react.
Right.
And it was amazing to see how that simple shift in focus helped him calm down and start thinking more clearly.
Yeah, that's the power of this technique. It gives kids a sense of agency in situations that might otherwise feel overwhelming.
It really does. And I think that's such an important thing to learn at a young age, you know?
Absolutely. It sets them up for success in so many areas of life.
Totally. So are there any other real-life situations where you've seen this technique be helpful?
Oh, absolutely. I've seen it work wonders for children struggling with anxiety,
Okay.
especially in situations they perceive as uncontrollable.
Yeah.
Like, for example, a child who's anxious about tests.
Right.
You can guide them to focus on what they can control: their preparation, their effort, their positive self-talk.
Mhm.
This helps them feel more confident and less overwhelmed.
Yeah, because they're taking all of that nervous energy and channeling it into something productive.
Exactly.
So it sounds like the key takeaway here is that this circle of control is not just a cute little visual aid. It's a really powerful tool for teaching children about the difference between what they can and cannot control
Absolutely.
and helping them navigate the world with greater resilience and emotional intelligence.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Awesome. Well, this has been a really insightful deep dive, but before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about how this technique can benefit children,
Right.
but how might we as adults benefit from applying the circle of control in our own lives?
That's a great question to ponder.
Yeah, where are we focusing our energy on things outside of our control?
Yeah.
And how might shifting that focus create more peace and agency in our own lives?
I think that's something we can all reflect on.
Totally. So to all our listeners out there, keep those circles spinning.
And remember, you've got this.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.